Hey, it's Alex Mandossian here, and I'm glad you decided to watch this video. Now, please subscribe to this channel because we have 3 new videos that come out every single week on ethical influence and sales and marketing. And make sure you click on the bell because you'll get notified when the new videos come out. Make sure you watch this video until the very end because I have something very special for you. All good wishes. J. Conrad Levinson, no longer living, probably listening and smiling right now. He lived in San Rafael, and I was at his home many, many times. I joint ventured with him. I spoke on a stage. He taught me the principle of follow-up. And he said, one of the principles of guerrilla marketing, he said that 68% of all sales are lost because of a lack of follow-up. So you give a speech on stage. It could be a multi-speaker event. It could be a little workshop. It could be a seminar. It could be your own event. Do you email or mail the list of people that were in the room? Do you have a follow-up webinar or hangout or teleseminar with those people? The answer is no to 100% of the clients I talk to so far. Okay. I have colleagues who do this. The great Dan Kennedy has done this over the years. And basically, it's a very simple strategy. When you go to speak somewhere, then this is only one way of follow-up. When you go to speak, it's taking a lot of energy, time, effort. You're away from your family. Well, what about preparing to mail those people with email or take the E out with direct mail because they already know, like, and trust you, and ask them to come back to an event or to a webinar, not just to resell them, but to rekindle what they learned when they're back home and the shovel of reality is hit their forehead, right? So follow-up autoresponders is one. What about following up after the sale to make the sale stick? What about after a launch, giving a free gift for everyone for pounding their inbox with so many emails until cart closed? Okay. Follow-up is where all sales are lost. It's not as sexy. It's not as cool. And there's a lot of complacency because it's kind of like a family member. You know, they're there. You kind of take them for granted. Or maybe you don't, but sometimes I do, right? So don't get complacent. Follow up and watch on how the cash comes in. All the nectar is in the follow-up. 68% of all sales are lost. And J. Conrad Levinson told me that and taught me that. Mari Smith. Now, Mari stuck with Facebook from the very beginning, and she is still with Facebook. Thought leader, professional speaker, friend, and she gets out there. And like I talked about with another thought leader, Tony Zappos, I go back to engagement because engagement means a lot to me. Okay. That's my verb. You know, I engage, therefore I am. If you don't have a verb, you can go to discoveryourverb.com. There's no opt-in there. Watch the 30-minute video and see if you can find your verb from the list of 117 verbs. It's super cool. It's my TED speech. But Mari taught me something when I was on a panel with her at an event, at a Peak Potentials event in Los Angeles, California. Mari, if you're watching, I wonder if you remember this. We were getting interviewed, and I believe it was Harv Eker who was, interviewing us. And we were sitting on a panel on stage. And what Mari taught me is that content is king, engagement is queen, and it's the queen that rules the house. Let me repeat. Content is king. She didn't refute that. Engagement is queen, and it's the queen that rules the house. I should say, who rules the house? And it's true. Your content is no good unless you have the follow-up of engagement. So take J. Conrad Levinson's principle of follow-up and engage with the content that they're reading for the first time so that you can go deeper, 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 and deeper, right? This is not knowledge or wisdom. This is wisdom, right? And this because this has been used. I don't trust things that are new all the time, although people jump at those. I trust things that are old. A tradition that's 3,000 years old, 5,000 years old, 2,000 years old, 1,000 years old. I trust that more than something that's 10 years old. Okay? So here's my final point. Seek simplicity on the far side of complexity. If you remember that bell curve. And here's my question. Which thought leaders will you borrow wisdom from next? Now, I mentioned the thought leaders I interviewed, but what about the ones in your life? What about the ones that you're going to follow? Here's something kind of harsh because I believe in it. Okay. Key point. Fools learn from their own mistakes. Period. I have been foolish many, many times. It's slow. It's very wooden. It's not, it doesn't move very fast. Movement is life. Nothing happens until something moves, said Albert Einstein. Fools learn from their own mistakes, but geniuses learn from other thought leaders' mistakes. So when I interview a thought leader, one of the questions I have is, what's the juiciest mistake you've ever made? Because my root mentor, the guy who started it all, that went through Marshall Thurber, Bobby DePorter, Blair Singer, Harv Eker, Alex Mandossian, through that lineage, is Buckminster Fuller. And one of his 3 overarching principles, universal principles, the second one is mistakes are great. The more I make, the smarter I get, right? So I love mistakes, and I love ones that thought leaders have made because they like talking about them. They like talking about the breakthroughs they had. And if you can reverse engineer the evolution of the result they've gotten, not just the result. It's hard to reverse engineer a point, right? Hey, this person's successful. They're a billionaire. Great. How do you reverse engineer that? You got to reverse engineer the sequence or the evolution that got them there from the original seed and root of the process. So that's what I do in reverse engineering. Are you getting this? I mean, there's some wisdom in that, Mwah, 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 mwah. I mean, it may sound self-serving, but, I'm learning as I'm teaching. Forget root cause, go to seed cause, because the seeds disappear in order to be the root. They destroy themselves. And because the seeds are invisible after the root has taken root, there's a lot of wisdom in the original seed, the specific incident that inspired and motivated them to start something. That's what you want to ask a thought leader if you can. So your next step is a seed. And I'm doing this for 2 reasons. Number one, if you'd like to work with me or one of my mentors, here's the commercial. Here it comes. Then the first step is an intake, which is what a doctor gives you when you walk into the office, a chiropractor, dentist, doctor, any wellness professional. A good marketer has an intake. Now, if you have absolutely zero interest in working with me, go there anyway. Don't fill it out and look at the questions I ask, because you can reverse engineer $1 million+ business every single year with $100,000 clients, $60,000 clients, and $30,000 clients. Yes. Okay. So take a look at that intake and what that's produced. Now, why go there? Well, because upon survey is even well-known and very smart entrepreneurs don't have a clear path, don't see a clear path from point A to point B. I can't. Why? Because if we are our own coach, we're a fool. Abraham Lincoln said, anyone who is his own client, as an attorney in court, anyone who represents himself in court as his own client, as an attorney, is a fool, because you're missing one thing that other people have, which is objectivity, 11-letter word. So I have mentors, I have masterminds I go to. And so you need someone from the outside you can relate to, you can trust. And typically, most people come to us not only without a clear path, but they're overwhelmed. And they could be, $200-300 million business. Usually doesn't happen, but between the $50,000 and $500,000 range, they're overwhelmed. Now, what is overwhelm? People look at overwhelm and they don't accept the true definition, which it's been for me year after year after year. I heard it on an interview one time and I said, wow, that's what I've been teaching, So whoever had, I don't remember the interview, but we'll just say that it was your idea, okay? So you don't get pissed off at me. But overwhelm is not having too many things to do at the same time. That's not overwhelm. Steve Jobs had too many things to do. Richard Branson, too many things to do. Bill Gates, too many things to do. Warren Buffett, too many things to do, right? We all have too many things to do. That's not overwhelm. You don't go to Google and know that there's almost, 500 billion websites behind this one simple web page and you get overwhelmed. Oh my gosh. No, you know what you want. You don't go into a library, if you remember what those are, millennials, forget it. But in the old days, we had books and a Dewey Decimal System with cards. You don't walk in with 1 million books and say, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm surrounded by so much knowledge. No, that's a lot of potential things to do. Overwhelm is not having too many things to do. We all have to-do lists. Overwhelm is simply not knowing what to do next. Your next physical action to advance whatever it is you're working on, whether it's clarifying your avatar, your target audience, or knowing what media sources to use, or maybe shaping your message so that you have an ideal market to message match, as my mentor and friend Dan Kennedy has talked about for over 30 years. So your next action step, you see the transition? That was a nice pivot, right? I'm telling on myself. All right, here we go. Your next action step, if you choose, is to go to marketingonline.com/intake. And if you want to work with my organization or me personally, not cheap, it's expensive, right? Then fill it out. If you don't want to work, but want to kind of poach and check out what questions I ask for my particular intake, yours should be different, because you have different core values that people should be rating on a, 1 to 10 basis, but you can ethically poach my intake. Okay. Most people do it without my permission. I'm giving you permission so you feel good about it. Okay. Extract some wisdom from my mistakes, because that intake is the result of over 20 years of mistakes. So there are 3 simple steps to healing or stopping anxiety or stopping worry or overwhelm or stress, or just fill in the blanks. And here they are. They're very simple. And if you've ever been to a wellness professional, doctor, chiropractor, podiatrist, dentist, healer, whatever, they always give you this because your life may be at stake. Step 1 is having an intake. That's a form you fill out about your past to give that professional a head start in, number 2, diagnosing you. They don't diagnose you from scratch. They diagnose you from the intake. So when we're doing a discovery session together, I'm going to diagnose your situation from the intake results you've given me, assuming you've told the truth. If you haven't told the truth, then I never underestimate the power of denial. Okay, number 2 is diagnosis, and then number 3 is prescription. But what do most people do in marketing? Why do they fail? They jump to prescribing a method first because someone else is doing it, and they think it's going to work for them. It may not work for them as well. So reverse engineer the evolution, not the end result. Hey, it's Alex again, and thanks for watching this video. Now make sure to get that very special gift I promised you. I want you to grab your mobile phone and text the keyword you see on your screen, and text it to this phone number, 415-980-3555, and make sure you stick around for another video coming up.